Welcome to the Encouragement Engineering Podcast, where we combat the negativity that inundates our daily lives with positive perspective and positive action. Today's guest is Nathaniel Zerberg. Nathaniel has overcome more obstacles in his life than most people, starting from an incurable chronic illness and medical prognosis that said he shouldn't be able to walk, talk, amount to anything, and be dead 6 times by now, to an entrepreneur, award-winning global inspirational speaker, and victorious mindset mentor. Nathaniel shares his vision of creating a victorious mindset and speaks to audiences to inspire them to live the extraordinary life by developing their unlimited potential, which makes the world a victorious place. So please welcome to the show, Nathaniel Zerberg. And Nathaniel, thank you so much for being here. We're so glad you're here. I'm glad the doctor's prognosis were wrong. Thank you so much for being here. How are you today?
Yeah, I'm really excited to be here. I'm glad the prognosis were wrong and that I can be here and I'm still breathing, talking, laughing with you, Bob. And yeah, it's gonna be a good time. Thank you so much for having me. Great opportunity.
Good. Well, let's inform everybody, because that's a heck of an introduction. Okay, you should have been dead 6 times. Tell us how all that came about.
Yeah, I'm gonna not going into details in all 6 times, but I will share especially one story that still gets me today. And it was I was 3 years old. I was already 2 years into living with the incurable chronic illness. My life was physically a mess. My parents, my family were super caring and always, made a good decision to keep me alive. But there was one event where I was, I lost conscious for about 2 weeks. I was in coma for 2 weeks, and during those 2 weeks, the doctor tried everything. And at the end of those 2 weeks, they called my parents and told them, "Hey, look, we have done everything that we could do. There's nothing else we can do whatsoever." So my parents come into the ICU in order to farewell my life. And to give you a medical perspective, it was like my brain basically only was a gray patch. It was no functioning anymore.
Okay.
I was just living on the life supporting machines.
Wow.
And my parents come, my family and myself are people of faith, and my parents somehow spoke some words over my life at the end of my life, and which is only that is incredible. And I don't remember what they said, but I think it had a huge impact, because the moment the doctors turned off the life supporting machines, I started to talk again. And
wow.
it's huge. And so that was it, because I always tell people it's a reason because I become an inspirational speaker, because I believe in the power of words.
Yeah.
Words either destroy a life or build up a life. And that was probably the first time this came into activation when my parents spoke words. And of course, I believe in a high power in God, and there was an activation as well. But so it gets me all the time, because we can speak life into people. So anyway, the other 5 times were similar, not quite similar, but I had about 3 lung infections.
Wow.
Where I shouldn't, get to the next day. It was so worse at time.
Wow.
I was as well on the ICU, and I had another 2 times where I fell into a coma for a few days, where there are a lot of difficulties, a lot of medical issues. And so those were the 6 times that I had the prognosis that I shouldn't be alive.
Wow.
And but here I am still, by the grace of God. So.
and that's and you look with a smile on your face, and I know it's in the past, and we build ourselves stronger from those events in our lives. What is your mindset now? Because I think that's important for people to understand is we're going to get through these dark valleys that we may go through in our lives, but how do you continue that mindset that you have now helps you carry you forward, I'm sure. So tell us about your mindset.
Great question, but not an easy one to answer.
Yeah.
I think for me, it has been one word that I always use is consistency.
Okay.
And the mind is like a muscle where you can train every day,
Mm-hmm.
and we have, or we don't have to, but we are able to do. We have the opportunity to do it, to make every day a constant decision to either look at the positive side or the negative, the things that don't work anymore or the things that still work, the things that we don't have anymore or the things that we still have. It's a daily decision. I still do that today. It's not, I don't, I don't have the perfect life where all the bad things are going away. It will never happen. You are constantly on the road to make the right decisions. Um, what happens is that we are a natural humanity is so quickly attracted to the negativity.
Right.
But the cool thing is we have the free will to make a choice to go into another direction. And I always say, people, look, it's like a gym. Your mind is like a muscle to go every day into the fitness, into the gym and train it. And it doesn't make it doesn't make a change within a day or a
No.
week, but if you look back within a year or 5 years, it really makes a huge change still, one day after another, to be consistent.
And that's great. A reminder for everybody too. This doesn't happen overnight. We do. And
Yeah,
I go back to a quote Jim Rohn had that said, "What's easy to do is easy not to do." And going to the
yeah,
gym can be easy to do, and it can be easy not to do. It can be easy not to go and be lazy, but that's not going to build that muscle. It's not going to build that focus,
mm,
that disciplining consistency, like
yeah,
you're talking about.
yeah,
Um, and just the idea of let's put away the negative. It's not that it won't happen, but we're stronger than that. We're stronger than letting it take over our lives. And it was funny because for those of you listening, when Nathaniel sent me an email, it was interesting. You sent something that caught my attention, and it was you're able to have selective hearing by your choice. That's a great attitude because you lost part of your hearing as some of your medical things, right? Tell us about that
yeah.
because that goes into your mindset, and I love that.
Yeah, I think it's quite funny. Yeah. Again, it was a daily decision in the difficulties to really remove the negativity. And I come a few times in my life. I am gonna share one event in my life where I had, when you're on a deep point where you feel like you can't make that decision anymore
Right.
to look at the positive. And it was in when I was about 8 years old, 9 years old. I had my second kidney transplant out of three,
Wow.
and this worked pretty well for 2.5 years. And I used to live the dream. When you have a kidney with as a 9-year-old, and you never had one for long term, the first 9 years of your life,
Wow.
then you really flourish. You are like
Yeah.
you are in heaven. And so there was a time when my kidney transplant got destroyed again, and it was a huge disappointment for me. I remember the time I was 2 weeks. I was lying on the couch in the living room of my where I grew up. For 2 weeks, I didn't move. I almost didn't talk. Even my
Wow.
parents asked me all the time, "Hey, how do I feel?" I just blocked away everything, and I almost didn't eat. And everything that was going on in my mind was that I wanted to take my own life, because there was no reason to live. There was no reason to build up a positivity or so I always tell people, it was probably my I don't want to sound too much spiritual here, but it was my second miracle after the first one that I shared previously. Because when you are at the bottom of your life, then you realize that somebody higher than yourself had to help you, and
Right.
this happened in my life. So somehow there was a change, not from one hour to another, but from one day to another. There was a change in my mental, emotional, physical, and spiritual mindset, where I
Right.
could slowly get into the direction that I wanted to go in the positive way. And so it's amazing what you can experience outside of you when
Right.
you are on the bottom of life. So yeah.
And that's, that I think people, no matter what you do, just that idea right there, I think is critical. There's always just one more step, and that one more step could lead to greater things that you don't realize how great it's going to be. And
Yeah.
I love that scenario that you're talking about, because I think people, if we just do that, we keep taking that one more step, keep taking that one more step, it's not going to be easy, but we keep going and we keep going. How do you, is that part of your, if you will, victorious world presentation idea that you give to people? Tell us about that.
Yeah, absolutely. I think for me, victorious living is nothing else than firstly create a victorious mindset,
Right.
which comes with I talked before about going into the fitness.
Yeah.
Now you are going out into the fight where you are becoming a victor.
Okay.
And I think the fight that I talk about is the real world out there.
Yeah.
Because negative things happening, people will do bad things to us, consciously, unconsciously. We can't choose that, but we can choose how we are going to fight the fight.
Mm-hmm.
And so a victorious fight, victorious mindset starts all with constantly again going into the room, training your mind, and then when you go out into the fight, you will be ready. You will be, that big Roman imperial
Yeah.
with all the things attached, and you are going to fight. And I'm talking about inside fight, of course.
Yeah.
And so that's the beautiful thing in life, because the more difficulties you will experience in your life, the stronger you get, the bigger your battles you can overcome, and the bigger your victory gets.
And if you can, I mean, obviously you've been through some big battles. So your armor, I can picture you just coming out, this huge victor out of all this. And that, I mean, think about carrying that around with you. That brings you some, okay, bring it on. It brings you an attitude of, I can conquer anything. And that's a great way to think, because so many times we make mountains out of molehills out of the issues we get in our life. Okay, a tire goes flat. Okay, somebody didn't respond the way we wanted to, or we didn't get a sale. Okay, are we still breathing? You've been close to that other side, and it's not such a big deal if we put it in a perspective. And like you said, that perspective you have of coming out with all your armor on, ready for that battle, that's some strong stuff. That's, if you think about David and Goliath, that's a David and Goliath type story. Came out and, okay, if God is with me, I can take care of this and move on. And that's what you've overcome. It's interesting. How do you see, when you explain this to your audience, do you see those people that are kind of like, well, I'm not sure, and then all of a sudden they come up like this, like, I get it, and how does that help you, if you will, while you're presenting in that scenario?
You mean like the way I will see people when I
Yeah,
present it, or
when you present, yeah, because I'm sure there's people that will, they're listening to you, and it's an interesting story, if you will, and then something clicks with them, and you see that light bulb come on. Does that charge you up to go into it more, to get more energy in your presentations? Fill us in on that.
yeah, absolutely. I think I often try, or as good as possible, I try always to see people with a 10 over their head,
Okay.
to see their fullest potential. Yet at the same time, I cannot make the decision for them. So if I feel like, okay, I have given a lot to them and there's no response, or they feel like they're still playing the victim, I'm like, yeah, okay, maybe somebody else has to help you first.
Yeah.
Before we can continue, or you just have to think about a few stuff what's going on in your side. And it's difficult, people are on different levels. So I feel like it's a really, as a leader, entrepreneur, it's a really challenge to be patient with the people,
Right.
as well, to take them where they are, as well, not pushing them, to let them function in their free will,
Right.
yet at the same time to take them a little bit and say, hey, come on. And so yeah, that's a huge challenge for always to find out between. But I always say, look, I have, if you come along, then I'm okay.
Yeah.
If I have to still, take you, and then I'm getting frustrated, I'm losing energy as well, then
Yeah.
probably that person or that group of people have to start with someone else first. And if that answers your question.
Yeah, definitely. And it brings up another point, which I appreciate, because many times you mentioned the idea of, if it's draining your energy, and we got to remember that as people too, we can't help everybody. But
Mm.
if we're expounding a lot of energy on somebody else, that doesn't make your potential as it should be. That full potential you have to share with the world, your greatness that you have to share with the world. We need to keep that sharpened, hewn, and keep our fitness large, if you will. It's like the plane thing. When you get on a plane and say, put your air mask on first, there's a reason for that, because we need to be capable to breathe, to help the person that needs their help on it. And that's, you emulate that very well with what you just said, is you can't let somebody else drain you. You can try to help, and if it's too much effort for that, you see you're expounding a lot of energy on that, maybe it's not worth your time. And like you said, maybe they need to take care of something personal before they come with you and do what you can help them with. So
Yeah, absolutely.
Interesting. Well, what else have you seen with your journey in that realm of helping people along? Because I mean, so many times it's getting through this COVID, you see people that are in bad spots, but do you see a lot of scenarios where they may not want that much help to get out, like they want to stay in that comfort zone? And how can you what's a way you can help people to get out of their comfort zone so they can see the betterment that they can get?
Great question. It's a hard one to answer. I mean, if somebody decides to stay in the comfort zone intentionally, then I'm not gonna, I tell them, look, if you want to live that life, go for it.
Yeah.
If I feel a little bit of, okay, they will change, but they don't know how, then I'm trying to give them practical, small next steps, continual, constant next step to get out of that. I think that's a simple answer that I can give. I mean, I often people lack awareness,
Right.
so that's where I start first, to give
Good.
them awareness. I mean, let's say somebody just an example, goes every day to the McDonald's, and that person might not know what the damage can be over 10 years, then I will probably start with, well, I'm not a health expert, but I know that McDonald's over 10 years every day is not really good. So, you know, I'm trying to give a little bit of shocking statement, numbers that tell you, okay, look, if you do that, you might live 20 years less than you could with a little bit of healthy life. And then maybe they switch, maybe not. That's their decision at the end of the day.
Right. And it's always something, because a lot of times we do, you know, as humans, we kind of need that little shove, if you will, that realization that, hey, you know, you keep going this way, something may not work out as well as you plan, because you've seen a lot of those different avenues and you have that experience. When I used to coach my kids in baseball, I'd tell the kids, as a parent, we get to see things from a helicopter viewpoint, because we've been down that path. You're in that path in the bushes. If you turn left, you turn right, you're not sure where it's going to go or where it's going to end up. We're up above it saying, no, you don't want to go that way, go this way, because we've either done it, been there, you know, we've seen it, experienced it. And it's interesting you mentioned that sometimes, you know, here's some things you do want to shock people with, if you will, to get them to see the viewpoint that can help them. You know, do you find, you know, that help, is that a big power you have within your being, if you will, that wanting to help people?
Yeah, absolutely. So there are a lot of reasons and options that people I can help with. I do victorious mindset mentoring, which I really love to see how people firstly get the awareness that they can do more than what they have now, or what they can do more, or do or have more than what they have right now. The second one is, as said before, a lot of inspirational speaking in companies and podcasts on different organizations that, again, I say, I believe in the power of words. I have seen people experiencing crazy transformations after when I was speaking somewhere, their life turned 180 around.
Wow.
Because if you know, I always tell myself as well that if somebody can do something, somebody else can do it as well. We all are on flesh, blood, and spirit, you know. And I tell myself as well, you know, when Bill Gates can make millions to do something for a good reason, he is only a human being. He's not a god. He is shit, blood, and flesh.
Right.
And so I can do it. I can. The possibility is there as well that I can do it. And so the same happened in my life, for a guy who has gone through a lot, who has lost a lot, who has no kidneys, who is kind of limited by the dialysis treatment 3 times a week. Then I believe that everyone has the potential to do the same incredible thing. Not the same as what I do, but the same in terms of reaching the unlimited potential.
It's interesting you say that way, because Zig Ziglar also had a quote that said, you know, if you want to do what somebody did, you got to do what they did to get what they got, so that you understand how they got what they got. I don't want to do what you did to get what you got. You know, I'm glad you're here. I'm sorry you got to be on dialysis 3 times a week. That's harsh. But it's what you offer is just such an immense value, because, you know, it's a definite mindset of life. Here it is. Okay, I got to deal with this. Now I have the potential. Understanding that in who you are is awesome. And thank you for that, because that reminder that we have great potential in us is exciting, invigorating, and it really helps,
Mhm.
you know, people to be reminded of their greatness, if you will.
Yeah. Thank you. Thank you very much for your words.
Yeah, it's definitely, you know, a great reminder of what you do for others, and to, you know, let them know, hey, we got some great work we can do in our, because it's, especially with, you know, everything that's going on, at least here in the US, you have a lot of differences, if you will. But if you take a pin and you poke your finger, we're all going to bleed red. It doesn't matter your skin color. We all want good things for our family. We all want to try to succeed. We all bleed red. You know, let's help each other. And you're doing just that. You're doing
Yeah.
that, you know, sharing that greatness with our world. And that's thank you so much for that.
You're welcome.
Yeah.
Yeah, I want to add that just be out there and do what you love to do, where your strengths are, and you know, develop that, and you will reach the unlimited potential if you do that constantly every day.
Yeah, that consistent work is critical. And that's a good reminder for people. Well, Nathaniel, where can people find out about you and your website? Where can they get in contact with you? Because you have a plethora of information I know would be great for a lot of people.
Yeah, absolutely. So listen, I have two websites, and there's a reason for that. One is the personal website where you can read more about my story, about my personality, which is nathanielzurbruegg.com. And then the business website where you can find all the services, which is unlimityou.co. On both of the website, there's a free ebook which I call 4 Steps to Unlimit Your Life. Get a hold of it. It's a little workshop or workbook where you can start building up a better life, walking towards the unlimited potential. Really easy made, and they're really beautiful made. So it's for free. Get a hold of it. Enjoy everything that's on the website, and just grab it. And yeah, cool.
Definitely. But yeah, I mean, and why not? You know, share that with the world, share that with, you know, with anybody that wants it. And that's the idea here, is that's why we do this. Positive perspective is, you know, just that, help people to see that value of positivity in their life, their potential. You're doing that, you're offering that, and it's, I'm looking forward to this. We're going to have all this information in the show notes. We're going to have it out there so people can document it, go get that book, and check out more of what Nathaniel's doing. So Nathaniel, I want to say thank you again for taking the time today to be on the Encouragement Engineering podcast and sharing your enlightenment with the world. So thank you so much.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for having me, and it was a pleasure.
Not a problem. You take care, Nathaniel.
Thank you. Bye bye.